Panda. I got broads in Atlanta, just took the lean in the family. Credit cards and the scammers, hitting the licks in the band. Legacies.
What's good, YouTube? Here with Encourage Evolution, it's your girl KKKK here with another book review. Hey. So today we are going to be reviewing one of my favorite artists, hands down. Some of y'all may have never heard of him, but that's because you ain't in the loop. This dude right here, his name is Lecrae. I got his book, I Am Restored, recently. And literally, it took me I would say maybe 3 days to read this book. This book was a really good read. He jumps into this book talking about things that a lot of people are not really comfortable talking about. You know what I'm saying? But before we jump into that, let's read what the book says about Lecrae, okay? I Am Restored is the heartbreaking yet liberating journey that led award-winning artist, movement maker, and best-selling author Lecrae to face the buried wounds of his past, sexual abuse, physical trauma, addiction, and depression. For the first time in this gut-honest memoir, Lecrae shares the vulnerable moments in his childhood and his remarkable career that set him on a path to wholeness. Man, I'm telling you, this book goes in. With transformational yet simple steps you can apply today, Lecrae shares the practices he uses in his daily life for mental, emotional, and spiritual health. In powerful prose, he gives an unflinching look at the personal and public spaces that sadly hurt us so often: culture, politics, family, church, personal failure, and reminds us that letting go and forgiving is the birthplace for the life of creativity and freedom God has for us. I Am Restored is an inspiring charge to embrace the lasting healing available to us now and that we all desperately long for, because no matter what you've experienced, God is near. He hears, and He's not done with you yet. Recognized as the first artist to have an album debut at #1 for both the Billboard 200 and the gospel chart simultaneously, rapper and activist Lecrae is one of the most important voices of our time. In addition to earning accolades and multiple Grammy Awards for his musical talent, he has gained international respect for his socially conscious advocacy work, speaking directly to some of the most important conversations facing our nation and world. From suicide prevention and mental health awareness to racial justice and police brutality, Lecrae continues to thoughtfully engage culture, following up a memorable breakthrough spoken word performance at the BET Hip Hop Awards in 2016 with the New York Times best-selling biography, Unashamed, in 2017. Now, that was his first book, and of course, I read it, but I don't have it right now, so later on, I'm going to be doing a book review on that, all right? His 9th album and accompanying documentary, Restoration, features artists across all genres, including John Legend, Kirk Franklin, and YK Osiris. His work is fueled by building bridges, changing narratives, and empowering the disenfranchised to restore the dignity of those on the margins and to catalyze change. Lecrae resides in Atlanta, Georgia with his wife and 3 children. So that's a little bit about Lecrae. Now, I'm going to say that this book right here really, really rocked me because I could see myself in the story. Meaning that me and Lecrae, we don't have the same sin natures, or we don't have the same things that cause us to feel as if we've gone through a personal failure. Okay? But the thing about it is that the honesty that he has demonstrated in his book, and also just the confession of where he was at different times of his walk with Christ, it just spoke to me because, like I said, I've gone through a whole bunch, as far as me being a Christian and me being who I am. It's just been a back and forth thing with this whole walk. Sometimes I'm up, sometimes I'm down, sometimes I'm all around, sometimes I really don't know what I'm doing next, and it's just been interesting. I'll share more about my story in the next video, but like I said, I don't want to take the light away from the book. But anyway, this book really, really touched me personally, because I've been through a lot of the things that he's talking about. Like, he talked about a time where with his faith that he was going through, like, he didn't really know if he was believing or not. Like, he was on the brink of, like, kind of being agnostic in a way because of the things that he went through, because of the pains that he had felt in his walk with Christ. The other thing that he talked about in his book was sexual abuse, physical abuse, different things like emotional abuse. Now, I can resonate with some of those parts, some of those hurting parts that he's exposing. I could definitely relate. And so I'm going to read you a few things that really stuck out to me in this book. Now, the first thing that he talks about is his childhood wounds. So check this out. This is the first part of the chapter. At the end of the book, Unashamed, I had arrived. Well, not really, but that's probably what some people believe when they read it. Maybe it's how I felt when I wrote it. It's easy to hear the story of that period of my life and believe that I had reached the pinnacle of my life and career. Sure, I had experienced life difficulties during childhood and stared down at the reality of abuse. I had encountered critics and detractors from my attempts to adjust who I was reaching with my artistry. I hadn't fully faced myself yet. I had answered questions about my ministry authentically and artistically legitimately. So I thought. My songs were being played on mainstream radio stations. I had connections in the very spheres I felt I had been called to. I had won countless awards, peaking with the coveted Grammy. I had it all, right? That's how it looked from the outside. By all accounts, I was doing well, at the top of my game and ready to reach new heights. Even those who had been at the peak of their professions gave me acknowledgement and respect, but something was happening. An uncontrollable shift was taking place in my life and threatened to derail all the greatness I had achieved. All the awards and accolades can't hide the weakness of the heart. I was broken. No, I am still broken. We always talk about our brokenness with a small measure of authenticity, but as though it was something far off that doesn't affect our families, our marriages, our well-being. The great lie of dysfunction is that things are not that bad. Sure, I had respectable addictions to substances and pleasure, but I'm managing, quote unquote. I'm managing. Yes, my relationship with my wife is in shambles, but don't worry, I'm working on it. No, I haven't had a meaningful interaction with my children in months, but I'll figure it out. I did not realize it yet, but dysfunction was subtly luring me into the pit of chaos, chipping away at my God-given purpose, piece by piece. You might be reading this book and expecting me to give you some cliches, to reference some of your favorite scriptures out of the context, to tell you I overcame with sheer will and tenacity. If that's what you were anticipating me to say, I'm sorry to disappoint you. I have left that assumption of perfect behind. I am unwilling to act like I have all the answers just to preserve your perception of my celebrity. I told you, like, and that's just the first chapter. Like, he goes in, like, details. You know what I'm saying? And this book is just so good. I wish I could read it to y'all, but I ain't gonna read the whole thing. Okay, so let's see what else. Alright, so this is another part of the book that really was like, whoa. Like, he's just, like, he's not playing his game. Like, you know how a lot of times when people are Christian and they believe in Christ, they wear a mask. And, you know, I've worn a mask. You've worn a mask. I feel like everybody in the world, whether or not they're religious or not, most people wear masks. I would say probably 99% of everybody, plus 1%. Like, I don't know. You tell me. You write down in the comments what you think about people wearing masks. So check this out. He says, my chaos was eroding any signs of the healthy me. I learned to recognize myself in my flawed state and treat it as my default setting. I was coping with a number of addictions that I couldn't find my way free from. I knew it was wrong, but I was in pain. When I wanted to feel numb to all the anguish, I couldn't put down the bottle. I was drinking every night just to disengage from the depressive state. I wanted to mute my anxiety, to push it down as far as possible. It's one thing to have a few drinks, but I couldn't stop there. I went from functioning buzzed to getting full on drunk with frightening ease. When the depression was at its height, I would drink incessantly, not even worrying about what the consequences would be. When alcohol wouldn't work, I turned to pills. The pills were supposed to help alleviate the symptoms of depression and anxiety. They were designed to make me feel better, but that wasn't working. I was popping the pills like candy, thinking they would stop the conflict in my mind. I would have bursts of hedonism, temporarily giving myself to all the forbidden fruits of my platform. At times, a mixture of the pills and alcohol led to a severe lack of judgment and numbness. Hedonism. What is hedonism? Alright, because I don't know what that is. I mean, I heard it before, but let's just look it up real quick. Hedonism. Man, Lecrae, you get me with these words. Hedonism, the pursuit of pleasure, sensual self-indulgence. That's what it means. Philosophy, the ethical theory that pleasure, in a sense of satisfaction of desire, is the highest good and proper aim of human life. That's what it means. So anyway, basically, he said he was just going all out. You know, he was going in even though he was a celebrity. And a lot of times I feel like, especially as a person who's of faith, like Christian celebrities, we think that because they're a Christian and they're celebrities that they're perfect, and they're not. And the thing about it is, we all fall short of the glory of God. We've all sinned, we've all messed up, we've all done all these different things. And the thing is that doesn't mean that we aren't saved. It just means that we are a human being in need of a savior, which is what Christ came for. Like, period. Me, you, everybody down the street. Now, I'm not here to preach to you or tell you who to follow, but I will tell you that because I have Christ in my life, it has made life a lot better for me. I'm not saying that it made it easier. In some instances, being a believer, a Christian, has made my life very hard. Very hard. It has caused a lot of different disturbances in my life that I know that I would not have if I was just doing whatever I wanted to do. And, you know, I'm not going to say that I don't do whatever I want to do, because there are times when I have. There's times when I backslid. There are times when I just do whatever I want to do. You know, and it doesn't make me this perfect Christian that people want to display. I'm not perfect at all. I could fall off tomorrow. I could fall off today. Like, don't follow me. Follow Christ. Just take that for your life. I'm not here to preach to you, tell you who to follow, but if you're a Christian, follow Christ. Now, if you're looking for somebody to follow, choose Christ. You don't have to, but I'm telling you that in the midst of all the things that I've been through, I feel like I was the most peaceful and I was the most happiest. And I felt more fulfilled when I did pursue God with all of my heart. When I pursued Christ with all my heart, I was the most fulfilled. Now, that didn't mean I didn't go through a lot of hell because of it. Oh, yeah, I did. But even in the midst of that hell, I had hope, you know, that was intangible that nobody could take away from me. I had joy that was strong. And the experience of that joy is something that nobody could take away from me. Even if I decided today I don't want to follow God, I don't believe in God or nothing like that, there's something that I can never deny the existence of Jesus. I can never deny the existence of God because of the things that I've experienced. I can question it. I can doubt it at times. Sometimes life will blindside you and make you doubt things that you know to be true. But in all, I can never really say that he doesn't exist. All right, so check this out. This is the next part of that. So he talks about things that he went through. He talks about, as a man, sexual abuse that he went through. And this is hard. This is a hard topic because not even that men don't go through it. They do. But they don't feel comfortable talking about it. Men don't feel comfortable talking about a lot of things, you know. And they're just taught to, like, pretty much keep their feelings under covers, and the only really feelings that they're allowed to express is anger or something aggressive, you know, but they're not able to express vulnerability and softness or, you know, pain, unless it's pain and they're expressing it in an angry reaction. So I really, really, really like what he said here. You know, how he was just honest. So check this out. This is what he says. Growing up, if you've experienced sexual assault, that was seen as a joke for our boys. A badge of honor that we would share to prove our manhood. Look what I've done. It's not really shameful to be molested by a woman in our culture. In a sexist world, these are bragging rights for young men to share in private moments. I took the experience to heart, believing that this is how I should act on a regular basis. The experience of some survivors leads them to feeling of internal judgment. They blame themselves because they didn't stop the abuse or prevent their abusers from taking advantage of their bodies. Shame forces them into silence about how abuse affects their lives. Abuse can create a blockade, preventing the healing they desperately need, and all because they blame themselves for what happened. I remember hearing Dr. Christina Edmondson, a dean at Calvin College, say dysfunction, sin, and trauma thrive in the darkness, silence, and minimization. My experience was different from others. I was silent about my abuse, but I didn't necessarily feel it was wrong. I wanted to feel that rush of pleasure all the time. I started having sexual experiences with friends and neighbors as early as second grade. I let the distortion of that experience shape my humanity, my body, my soul. When you are exposed to sexuality that early without healthy categories, trauma is free to run your life. To some, this will be a startling revelation. After all, I've spoken about my sexual abuse before, sharing my heart in various formats such as my music and interview segments. The most famous example of this was the song Good, Bad, Ugly. This was the first time I revealed my abuse in detail. I even shared more thoughts on it in my first book, Unashamed. Each time I gave the circumstances surrounding my molestation, I was applauded for being vulnerable. Wow, Lecrae, this is brave. A true leader in the case of the song. I was transparent for 3 minutes and 29 seconds. It is true that a survivor sharing their story is a powerful moment of freedom that they are not required to share. Most people can't comprehend how significant it is when survivors, especially black men, share their stories. But my vulnerability was hollow. I only shared what happened because I assumed it would be liberating for my audience. Sharing my story was for the benefit of others rather than my own personal healing. Healing for years, I never even knew what that felt like. I was a public figure, a professional artist, a record label owner, a husband, a father, the leader of a movement, and yet I didn't know what it felt like to walk in healing. Man, that's so true. You know what I'm saying? Like, it doesn't really matter where you are in life. You could be going through a lot of different things, and people don't even know if you won't even open up and share. But all in all, like, Lecrae really shared a lot of deep things in this book, and I wish I could just keep on reading because I would. But my time is up. So I would just say this to say, get this book. Whether you are an unbeliever and you don't believe in Jesus, whether you are a new believer, whether you are a seasoned saint that have been walking with God for a long time, whether you are in a Christian rap ministry or any ministry, this book will reach out to anybody. This book right here is I literally was crying when I read this book. Like, I was at work with tears in my eyes crying because he talks about his struggle, like, not even just with the things that happen in his life, but the struggle of walking in a faith that you can't see what you really believe. You know, he talks about how he even struggled and wrestled with the thoughts of, is God even real? And then he also talks about how he gained his victory, how he came back to the place of restoration, how he reached out and got things to help him in his life that allowed him to achieve the restoration that he feels now. Yo, I'm going to just say this and we signing out. Lecrae by far is my favorite rapper. He's always been my favorite artist. No matter if he is up at the sky in the sky and he's just zooming on the carpets like Aladdin, or if he falls off, I'm still his fan. I'm going to still pray for him. I'm going to still pray for his ministry and all the things that he's doing for God because I believe in his ministry. One of the things that struck me is like how he said that he had an addiction. and with the victory of that addiction, what if he would have been able to reach out to Juice WRLD, R.I.P. Juice WRLD, you know, who died from a drug overdose, amazing artist. You know, I feel like Lecrae is put in this spot, in this music industry spot, to be a light to many people, even if he is afflicted with the same issues that the people in that arena are afflicted with. The fact that he gained a victory, that gives him the ability to help other people gain victory over the same things that he struggled with. So my blessings is to you, Lecrae. Keep doing what you're doing. I'm praying for you, and I'm pretty sure that many other people are praying for you, lifting you up as you continue to be who you are and do what you do. And I just want to say to anybody, this video touched you, go ahead, like, subscribe, share the video with whoever you want to, whoever you think it will impact. Get the book, support. And yeah, be encouraged. Peace out. It's your girl Kay. Ay.
Panda. I got broads in Atlanta. Just took the lean in the family. Credit cards and the scammers. Hitting the licks in the band. Legacies.